Large capacity roads have to be built to accommodate our growing population, but the roads in today's video take things to a whole new level. These are just some of the most mind-boggling and confusing intersections in the world. So join me as we count down the top 5 most crazy intersections. Now, as you know, before we start, I would like you to give this video a like and hit that subscribe button. Number 1. Khatipara Junction, Chennai. Found in Chennai, which is the capital city of India's southernmost state, the junction was first opened in 2008. It's at the intersection of 4 extremely important arterial roads: the Grand Southern Trunk Road, the Inner Ring Road, the Anna Salai, and the Mount Poonamali Road. In theory, it makes the transition between each of them seamless. Originally, the junction was a roundabout with a huge statue in the center. However, because it was at the confluence of 4 busy highways, tailbacks were common, and drivers were being forced to be aggressive to have any chance of completing their journey. The decision was made then to build a 6-lane cloverleaf grade separator to replace it at an estimated cost of $61 million. It was completed by 2008. It became, and still is, the largest cloverleaf junction in South Asia, and was the first of 3 that were built in Chennai on a ring road that has now substantially improved the daily congestion problems that were developing. While it may look complete, plans for the site haven't ended yet. The land underneath the junction has been earmarked for further development. It'll be the site, for example, of a brand new bus station, as well as an entertainment venue such as an open-air theater, food courts, stores, office space, and parking, all of which will be directly accessible by an off-ramp from the Khatipara junction itself. Number 2. Meskel Square, Addis Ababa. Set in the heart of Addis Ababa, the capital city of Ethiopia, Meskel Square has developed a reputation as being the most insane intersection in the world. The city has trouble with traffic at the best of times, and with so many vehicles trying to pass through, the fact that this particular crossing hasn't had any road markings or traffic lights for decades has made it a free-for-all. Drivers need to push their way through oncoming cars to have any chance of making the turns they need. The square is of huge importance to Ethiopians as it's the focal point of the Meskel Festival, which has been held annually for more than 1,600 years. It commemorates the moment when the crucifix was revealed to Empress Helena of Constantinople. When held on September 27th, tens of thousands of people gather in the square following flaming torches as they congregate around a burning pyramid that's kept alight until dawn. There are also several memorials around the square that recognize significant events from Ethiopian history, attracting large numbers of people throughout the year. There's long-standing debate surrounding who actually owns the square, with various factions claiming it for themselves. However, this has meant that no one has taken responsibility for trying to sort out the traffic problems. Even if there were an agreement on what could be done, it wouldn't be as easy as adding traffic lights because of the mixed use of the space. Recently, despite an opportunity to address the issue, a large development simply added parking spaces and a mall. The road markings, or lack of them, are also in line with the theories of Dutch traffic engineer Hans Monderman, who argued that the presence of signage actually decreases safety. He suggested that the removal of all safety features forces drivers to be far more aware of their surroundings instead of blindly following rules, thus making everyone more cautious. Anyone who has actually tried to drive through central Addis Ababa during rush hour may well have a different opinion on that approach. Number 3. Shibuya Crossing, Tokyo. Found in front of the Hachiko exit of Shibuya Station in Tokyo, the Shibuya Crossing is one of the most famous and busiest pedestrian crossings in the world. It was first opened in 1973. The district has since been heavily built up around it, and there you'll find the statue of Hachiko, a famous Akita dog that waited for its owner for 9 years after his death. It's a popular meeting space, as well as home to countless stores, including one of the planet's busiest Starbucks, and illuminated advertising boards as iconic as those in Times Square or Piccadilly Circus in London. Once described as an example of what Tokyo does best when it's not trying, this crossing, while looking chaotic, is actually an extremely efficient way of managing pedestrian and vehicular traffic. There's a green light for pedestrians every 2 minutes. And recent estimates suggest that each time this happens, as many as 3,000 people walk across. On the busiest days, 500,000 people will use the crossing, and even on the quietest days, that figure is around 260,000. There's very little difference in its busyness between the middle of the day and the middle of the night. Officially known as the Shibuya Scramble Crossing. One of the more surprising elements of it is that, despite the frequency of people crossing the roads, there are rarely any traffic jams, even during rush hour. That's partly a testament to Tokyo's overall traffic management strategy, both because of the layout of the roads and the provision of reliable and affordable public transport. Extensive modeling of people and traffic flows has allowed the timings of the signals at the crossing to be perfected to keep everyone moving. Number 4. The Magic Roundabout, Swindon. No matter where you live in the world, you'll most likely have to use roundabouts on your road network, as they're features used in almost every country. They're designed to keep a constant flow of traffic moving while connecting several routes. They're often much easier and more efficient than the alternative, which would usually be a crossroads with traffic lights. Not all roundabouts are the same, however. There's also one in the town of Swindon in the UK that's become famous for its unusual design. Now locally known as the Magic Roundabout after a children's TV show. Locals will tell you that it's really easy to use this junction, but when you approach it for the first time, you'll almost certainly be confused. The first thing to remember about the roundabout is that in the UK, vehicles drive on the left-hand side of the road instead of the right, like in most countries in the world. This means that when they use roundabouts, they travel in a clockwise direction instead of an anti-clockwise one. This gets a bit more complicated at the Magic Roundabout though, because it's actually made up of 5 mini roundabouts that are all arranged around a central circle that itself looks like a roundabout but isn't technically considered one. This essentially creates an outer circle and an inner circle and gives a number of total different paths between the feeder roads. For example, you can simply use the outer circle to go around the mini roundabouts in a clockwise direction until you reach the exit you need. Alternatively, if you're feeling braver, there may be a quicker way. Instead, you use the mini roundabout you approach to enter the inner circle, where you travel anti-clockwise or in the opposite direction, and can reach the exit on the right without having to travel around the entire thing. Yes, this is a design of a roundabout that allows you to travel in either direction around it. And it's no wonder that anyone who has used it before finds it so strange. Amazingly, though, it's had this layout for more than 50 years, and has been found to reduce the number of accidents that cause injuries by more than 75%. Although the main reason for this is that drivers are often so confused that they drive too slowly to be able to cause any damage. Number 5. The Nanpu Bridge Interchange, Shanghai. In the past few decades, China has invested heavily in the development of transport infrastructure to make it far easier to travel across the country. Shanghai is, of course, one of the busiest places in the city, with many millions of commuters trying to cross districts each day. Before the 1990s, those wanting to travel between Paxi and Pudong, the entertainment and cultural centers of the city that are home to almost half of all its residents, had to use a ferry that crossed the river that separates the two. But in 1991, the 6-lane Nanpu Bridge was opened to make the crossing far easier, originally catering to around 17,000 vehicles a day, but now registering almost 10 times that number. One of the challenges designers faced when building the bridge was how to connect it to the road network. There were already wide roads passing along the riverbank, but there's one thing that there's a complete lack of in a central city location like this: space. Engineers had to be creative with how they'd make this work, and the result was one of the most spectacular but crazy interchanges in the world. As part of a collaborative approach between the Shanghai Urban Design Institute, the Shanghai Engineering Design Institute, and the Shanghai Urban Construction College, the decision was made to use a circular spiral design to lift vehicles from ground level up to their required height across the bridge. When it opened, the bridge changed transport around the city and is now one of the most important bridges that crosses the Huangpu River. But it's also become notorious because of this spiral approach, which can make you feel like you're turning forever. particularly in traffic, until you finally can straighten your wheel and continue on with your journey. This is the end of this video. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe to this channel. You don't want to miss out on the other videos we have for you. So click that notification bell to get notified once we drop new videos.